But at present, we have you all just outside of your second temple. The party is marked by that little echo, and you guys are right outside of NangNang's temple. Did I delete Nang? Oh, I see it. Bam. So, yeah, this is 100% immediately after the battle right now. Um, so we will pick up in this moment. As you all are in this initial recovery, and the wizard is flying off into the south, you are going to start to hear kind of a cacophony of rivets and croaks. And as you kind of start to hear this and focusing on this wizard flying off, your attention's drawn back towards the temple. What are you all thinking?
I want to take a look at everybody, see what healing they might need.
All right, so without any like question, like looking around real quick, you can definitely see that Taryn is mortally wounded, Jarek is bloodied. Um, did Zeros actually die? Is he unconscious? I did not write that down.
Yeah, I was trying to as soon as I saw the
I
little
think I've got
symbol.
him marked as unconscious. That's like the sleeping one, and I have a 1 in his blue symbol, so I feel like he might be. Oh, but I have a 1 in Serge's blue symbol as well, and a 1 in his red. So maybe Serge was 1 and 1 and got healed. Ooh, did you roll a 20? I feel like Serge was 1 and 1 and rolled a 20. So I think right now Zeros is unconscious but has 1 successful death save.
Are we safe for 10 minutes of prayer of healing? You think,
We
guys?
can certainly try.
What do you guys think?
You guys hear this rising croaking.
I don't know if we can take that much time. Are we able to see what? Oh no, the wizard went invisible and then flew off, right? So we can't see what direction he.
Oh, offhand, I didn't actually pay attention whether he used greater invisibility or not. I think he might have actually used greater invisibility too.
Yeah, but didn't he do it after he started flying? Because I remember Surge shooting at him as he flew away. He'd start flying and then went. How does
That would make more sense because, again, like I didn't have his stat sheet up when I was. Yeah, he had greater invisibility, so he would definitely fly and then cast greater invisibility. So I think you guys lost sight of him right where he is on the map. That guy is effectively gone at this point. But yeah, as you guys start to do this initial like moment of trying to figure out what to do and you're looking to heal people, you are going to start to see as grungs are just going to start popping up out of the water all around you all. You're going to see a big yellow grung who pops up on the top of the actual temple itself. And I don't actually have. Oh, that's pressing Alt.
So I think maybe Jarek actually was able to use the kit on Zeros to bring him back up, or that might have been Taryn. I can't tell who he used it on. Just
I
from
think
the
I had that in my notes as Terran, but give me 1 second.
Yeah, I remember being healed with the kids. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes more sense. I would, if I had a choice, obviously, I would heal Taryn, and I only see that I used it once in the. I'm just looking back through the chat log. So
Yeah.
Cast.
So as you guys are trying to recover in this moment, you're going to see this big yellow grung who walks out of the actual temple, or no, walks out from the top of the temple. I don't have like a roof view of it, so I can't really show that. You're going to see a few of these creatures holding Alt makes them gigantic. a few of these creatures kind of like popping up on the walls, and very quickly you're going to recognize that there are grungs kind of popping up out. Yeah, it just doesn't really function to press it while I'm talking. But as you start to notice how surrounded you already are, Imbok is actually going to pop up out of the water as well, who kind of hid through all of that. And you're going to have a quick moment of tension, and with the recognition that you all have kind of brought his son, like Eku can kind of translate to you all, you guys can kind of break this tension as the grungs more or less will welcome you here. So Eku can kind of share with you all that with Imbok speaking to his father, you all are not in threat by them. They are a little bit curious about what you are doing here, but they are also thankful that you have effectively scared off the other human with the dead.
So Jarek will, asking Echo to convey it, will say, they're glad we could return your son to you. Be grateful if we could, perhaps catch our breath within, kind of gesturing towards like inside the temple.
Roll a persuasion. It's going to as the messages kind of pass between Echo and the chief to Echo and back to you. Echo can kind of share. The chief is hesitant to allow just anyone into their holy place. This is a sanctuary for NangNang, their goddess, and he does not believe that it is entirely safe to risk bringing the mundane into such a sacred place.
So Jarek is kind of hearing this. He's look towards Taryn and Island, kind of give like a small like shrug of his shoulders. He's not sure how to proceed here.
So while you all are starting to talk to, like, amongst yourselves, and you're kind of looking towards them, you'll see as Eku's attention is brought back to the chieftain Yorb, and as he kind of passes another message kind of towards her, what are Terran and Island thinking as Jarek is looking towards you?
Terran's still like thinking a bit out loud. Just maybe we could convince them that, well, we are here for the will of Toa, right? And NangNang is a part of Toa or a side. They believe that, right? Maybe we could just say that, well, Toa sent us, and as such, NangNang sent us, so we have a mission from them. So we're not all that mundane. Think that could work?
So as Yorb finishes and passes the message to Eku. Eku's going to repeat to you all. Yorb has invited us to go through a ritual cleansing where you will be welcomed into the temple. But you must submit as to not to bring into any weapons or your things that you don outside of such a place. And she kind of like takes a moment. I believe he is inviting us in as we came into this world.
So we're going buck naked then. I mean, that's fine with me.
Yes, indeed.
Jarek will kind of nod. Well, I suppose if that's the only way they'll let us in.
All right. Sure.
So, they are going to bring you in to kind of the central part of this little temple, just beyond these initial doors, just kind of to an entry portico. They're going to have you effectively leave your stuff kind of outside and onto those stairs, and then effectively you're kind of like waiting in this little like 10 by 10 space while you have some of these grungs who are attending to you, coming back and forth. As you kind of strip off something, they kind of take it, bring it just outside of the doors, setting it down on these stairs. What kind of thoughts do you all have as this goes on?
Well, I'm going to put my hand on Jarek and cast a Cure Wounds on him. And the same on Terran. I guess we're in it, huh, boys? I'll cast one on myself.
So let's see. I can't go ahead, Jared.
I was just gonna say yes. So Jarek will kind of nod gratefully towards Island as he feels kind of this energy coursing through him. You'll see some of like the kind of the worst of his cuts are healing up, and he kind of a little bit of the weariness drops from him as he's kind of almost like feel like at this point he's like essentially peeling the clothes off of him because they're essentially like just all the, like the perspiration and they've been wearing them for so long. It's but otherwise he's kind of almost using this opportunity to almost catch his breath after that fight as he's pretty quiet as he's kind of preparing, I guess, for this ritual. He was
So
definitely hesitant to leave behind the Magoli boy Baunost, but again, considering this seems to be the only way they'll be let inside, he reluctantly kind of lets that go.
So as you all are brought into this room, there's not initial doors like on these areas to like the east and west of you and to the north of you. So you guys can see that there is an altar just to the north of you, and to the east and west of you, there's little other alcoves that are just filled with gold, amphoras. There is all kinds of amazing things just scattered across the ground of these eastern and western alcoves of where you all are. And the as they're kind of stripping you all and getting everybody further and further down into the nude, you all just have these times to, one, look to each other, but as well just to recognize that this place is filled with riches. And over the next few minutes, they will kind of finish this process of first getting you all naked. Second, they are bringing everybody these like amphoras of water and kind of allowing you a chance to take a um yeah, I feel like kind of like a rose water almost, and take a moment to cleanse yourself to where you all probably realistically first bath you've had since Nambala, no, not Nabala, Kirsabal, and that ritual cleansing before the Dance of the Seven Winds. And basically, this is like the first chance that, yeah, you have to cleanse yourself. You have to wipe up a lot of the blood that is a recent occurrence from all of this. And as this little occasion kind of finishes, getting your hair clean, smelling fresh, you all are inside of this little temple. Most of the other grungs are going to leave, and it is effectively, for what it's worth here, the four of you and Eku, you all can kind of leave your sidekicks outside with your gear. There's no reason that they have to be inside for all of this as well. But when you all have a moment to yourselves with Yorb and Imbok, what are your thoughts here after the ritual?
We here to find the puzzle box.
Uh, yeah, some sort of cube. Um, you think all that came from? Jarrett kind of referring to the all the kind of ridiculous wealth that they saw in those alcoves. Offerings, do you think?
Years and years of collecting, perhaps.
Um, a chieftain, Yorb, and again, kind of asking Eku to translate. Um, Thank you for allowing us to partake in this ritual, and thank you for allowing us entry into your temple. As my friend here, and he kind of gestures towards Taryn, was saying, oh wait, no, we didn't actually end up saying that he'd been sent by Abtoa, right?
Nope, that was just among ourselves.
Yeah, that has not been translated.
Yeah, so he would so yeah, so in that case he'll probably just stop after that, like again, kind of thanking them for allowing them inside. And then kind of glancing towards Taryn, almost like a side glance, thinking he wasn't too persuasive or so give someone else a shot.
As you glance at Terry, you notice that he is staring very much just straight forward, not looking at anyone. Because he is, how should we say, the right height or the wrong height for everyone right now.
Hmm.
Took me a second. Got it though.
I didn't think about that when I was trying to make it like something to allow you inside. So I feel like when you brought up the Puzzle Cube Island, was that something you were intending for Echo to translate to him? That you all are looking for a cube of NangNangs?
I was checking in that I was at the right place in the story. I didn't understand why we were in the temple, but yeah, I mean, Jarek, we're here to find a cube. Is there anything around that might indicate there's another space beyond this one for us to pursue that? And then maybe, yeah, maybe we should just fess up to what we want to do.
Jarek will nod and he'll kind of looking back towards the chieftain and I guess Imbok and Yorb. Um, Jarek will kind of like kind of bowing his head a bit. He'll say, uh, "We have my friends and I actually find ourselves on a mission of sorts in service of Toa and those that serve him. We are looking for a object that rumored may reside within your temple." And he'll kind of using his hands to kind of show like the dimensions of the object, and he'll try to kind of like describe it a little bit. Not he's not sure. Obviously, he's not sure if all these objects look alike, but he's just using the one that they have found so far as a reference point, kind of trying to describe an object like that, um, and kind of like watching, trying to watch Yorb to see if like he sees any sign on his face that he recognizes it, but then also eventually after he ends up describe it, kind of asking like, may we ask, does that sound familiar to you, such an object?
So Eku will translate a little bit, and you can very clearly tell she cut that a little bit short, and she's going to look back to you without actually showing anything like dimension wise at this point. She'll kind of look back to you. Would you like to show him Ublakas? Or do you want me to try to ask with it being a little less evident what we are looking for?
So Jarek's gonna kind of glance again towards Taryn and Island, kind of try and reading their expressions, try to see what they think about actually showing the actual object, which I presume we would have to go outside and get. But
Yeah.
Theoretically, it is something that like is inside of like one of Taryn's bags.
Yep. That it is.
Yeah, I mean, we're on a mission for Obtoa, and that's 1/9 of the mission. I think it's convincing. We should show it.
If Taryn has it on his person, that's just stuff we don't want to know about. So yeah, Eku can kind of display and continue to translate. Like with that initial bit, you'll see as Imbok and Yorb start to actually show you all of the different things, like in these other rooms, kind of almost displaying it kind of Vanna White style, like big, like sweeping arm motions. Before Eku will kind of continue on and kind of reference that they have something outside that they want to show you an example of what they're looking for. And she'll kind of step out with Taryn, have Taryn retrieve it, and she'll show him a kind of like the actual square in her hand, um before giving it back to Taryn to return to his stuff. And you'll then, I think you're kind of looking to see like an insight check if they show any signs of recognizing it. You are welcome to roll that, Jarek. I think you are going to pick up pretty solid signs that they are entirely ignorant of what this thing is. Roll a persuasion for me. And you can have advantage as it's going through Eku. So, Yorb is going to explain that they have many treasures. You're welcome to go through their treasures, but none of them are so simple as a stone square. And I think at some point you'll have a little bit of a back and forth with Eku and him as she explains that the character would be some sort of representation of NangNang instead of this represents one of the other aspects of these gods. And you can tell she's kind of walking a fine line, and she'll share that with you all, between referencing Ubtoa and referencing the other gods, recognizing that anybody who is still here might be kind of fanatical about their own singular god. Having like NangNang be very much more particularly like who they care about, not necessarily Ubtoan at all. So she kind of like walks this line, and more or less, Yorb will give you all a chance that you can go through the rest of this temple. And let me have, I think, Island, let me have you roll an intelligence with advantage here. $16 solid enough for me anyways.
Yeah, sorry.
Looking through this place, you all can certainly recognize that this is filled with treasures. This place is inundated with treasure, and you will very quickly notice, having archaeological background and kind of survey capabilities. Oh, I can't reveal just everything. That this place, they show you everything, but they're going to basically leave that in the central temple that there is a single door in this place, and beyond that door is the one place that they don't show you all. And you basically will recognize that while this place is filled with treasures, this central room with the door is the one place that they don't show you, and it is also the one place with writing. You can take a few moments. I think we came across it last episode that, like, when you first get to Omu is the first time it talks about reading Old Omawan, and Jarek crushed it so he can translate it. But I think part of what we decided was it's kind of silly that it doesn't say that when you guys went to Nangalore, to give Island a chance. But for what it's worth, I think we decided that Jarek and Island would be able to translate the Old Omawan.
Yeah, kind of like a group effort, like working together, like yeah, piecing it together. Not easily, but
Cool.
So, with the recognition that this place is just filled with treasures, and this one room that doesn't have treasure is also by this door, you can take some time to look over the Old Omawan and basically read. Let's see. Above the door, there's a plaque that says, am I looking at the wrong one? I am. NangNang teaches us to serve only ourselves. And yeah, I forgot to explain that at some point going through, you see that often there are representations of a humanoid frog who seems to be in the mosaic kind of beating down a leopard with a spear.
You repeat the text. NangNang teaches us only to ourself.
NangNang teaches us to serve only ourselves.
So no help. One at a time. Is there any mechanism for opening the door?
There is neither a handle nor keyholes. And Yorb can explain, pass on through Eku, that he's never been inside there.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, do they seem they don't seem to like going to try to stop us or look? Do they look? Is it like does it look like it's a place that they don't want us to look at when we go to like read the plaque and that and all that?
I feel like I just butchered this. Okay. So, in the chambers filled with gold, you see the mosaics of the frog-like humanoid beating down the leopard with a spear. As well, I forgot to say that the leopard has like snakes coming out of its shoulders. So it is like a snake kind of leopard. As well, those are the rooms that say NangNang teaches us to serve only ourselves. Over the door in that room is where you can pick up that it says, "Whoever among you is the richest, bring me your gifts." Everyone smile
Oh,
when you're doing puzzles. It helps to actually look at the book.
so whoever among us is rich. So I mean, just this has been read out loud to all of us right now, right?
I think yeah, we're reading it. We're figuring it out and reading it to
Yeah.
you.
Over time, yep, that's translating it, and you guys are basically trying to puzzle through this. These frog folks, even if you had Eku translating it to them, this is all well beyond them.
Yeah,
So what does NangNang think is a treasure? Like what's the richest amongst us?
yeah. Terran's just gonna go straight for the riches and go to the door. See if
Because you have
that
the
helps.
most money.
Yeah, but the richest man among us. I take the money. We're all naked. I'm the richest. The richest.
What's everybody doing as Terran does this?
Watching him in awe.
Jarek doing the same, kind of watching?
Yeah, he's trying to puzzle out whether there might be some other meaning there they've missed. But he's kind of watching Taryn.
I'm admiring Terrence's ego for a naked 3-foot man. He seems quite on it.
So as you go over and grab some gold, and you could grab like a treasure chest or one of these like amphoras filled with oil, any number of different riches. What do you think you are grabbing for?
I mean, Terran would probably grab an amphora. I think. I'm just trying to think. How big are they, though?
Probably roughly your size. I don't think there's any reason that you can't grab one though and pick one up. Amphoras are usually pretty freaking huge, like stoneware.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. He's gonna try to pick one of those up and go to the door.
So you'll see like a little bit of Yorb kind of looking to you. Eku kind of like translates. Those are sacred to NangNang. They are her gifts, not for you. But
Oh,
otherwise, they're not trying to stop you. Do you just kind of continue?
I'll tell. I could say that I'm not gonna take the treasure out of the temple. I'm just gonna. There's like a. See if there's a. How to say this? We read on the door that we could offer things to NangNang. beyond this door, and I'm gonna try it. So I'm gonna offer something to NangNang more personally.
So like while Eku is translating this to them and trying to like motion with her arms to allow you past, they're moving out of your way. You can kind of start to circle around the like dais there, the like altar, and as you get in front of the doors are going to open.
Nice.
This is the
Ah,
funniest one. It's literally a question of if two people try to bring riches, it stays shut. If one person does it, it opens.
oh, it's
So,
nice to finally be the richest.
so as you walk up to this door, the doors are going to open. You are going to see another room kind of open up to the north of you. You will all notice like some level of shock on Imbok as well as Yorb's face. Again, as they kind of explain, they have never been inside of this room. Inside of the room itself, big old dusty room, there is a stone cube that rests on top of a pedestal that is effectively carved like a grung. You all have seen symbols of NangNang in the past. There's a pretty solid understanding that this is a pedestal that is NangNang holding up her cube, but it is basically a frog kind of like sitting with its butt to the ground, with its legs like in kind of that like V shape of like a very typical frog, like ready to spring, chest up, head held high, kind of looking up towards it, and its arms are kind of making the almost like Y from like the YMCA sign, as it's like holding the cube inside of its two like forward hands, and it's holding the cube up high. I think for what it's worth, the size of a frog person and the size of Terran, it's probably like just inside of your reach, but you're like almost like tippy toes, kind of like might have to jump a little bit.
Oh, I tip it so and jump a little bit to grab the cube.
So, with a little bit of effort, you are certainly able to pick up the cube, and you have NangNang's cube.
Awesome.
What epic
Love that this
directness,
worked.
man. Nice work.
Yeah, I love that this worked. Oh god.
Remember that time we had to get on each other's shoulders and it took like 2 days?
Oh yeah. I mean, that is true. Most of the things have been pretty direct, actually. Now that I think about it.
Good job.
Yes, well done, Taryn. I fear I was overthinking it, trying to puzzle out something that wasn't as obtuse as I feared.
Well, I'm just gonna walk out with the cube and see if they react.
So, I think that for what it is worth, without them recognizing anything, I don't think they have a reason to stop you. I don't think they have a reason to let you go. And I think it is kind of coming back to this is one of those unique opportunities where Yorb is more invested in his personal gain through all of this, and that you all have saved Yimbok than worrying about kind of the minor things of what else is going on here. So I think as far as things go, they're going to ask you when you're finished with the cube, will you bring it back and pass that through Eku? But at the same time, I think they're in a recognition that's between Imbok kind of convincing them. You all have at least enough kind of credibility with them that on some level, they're willing to see where this goes. And for what it's worth, yeah, they'll kind of, again, their plea is that if you find that you are finished with it, that you would return it. It belongs here. But at the same time, they do have a sense of you are more than welcome to take it and use it for the needs of NangNang.
Well, thank you for that. We will use it for the needs of NangNang. Certainly.
And we can add that. Sure, we can return it if at all possible. I mean, if we're dead, we can't return it, but yeah. If at all possible, we'll try to return the cube back to where it belongs.
I'd like to return my pants to where they belong.
That is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all.
Is that all you all are taking out of the shrine?
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not going to take any other treasures from the shrine.
Do we see any like kind of looking in a couple of these alcoves? Does it all appear to be um I guess actually the what Derek would be looking for is like actually like gear, but that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that he would find here. Um
Yeah, I think as you kind of look through, you can do a perception check for me. So, yeah, I think as you kind of look through all of these different alcoves, you're going to find that everything is very kind of traditional riches. These have always been ways of storing wealth, is in effectively like exorbitant things like oils are the type of thing that kind of stay for a very long time, and it's a way for like royalty to kind of exalt their body. Riches in the form of coins, chests filled with more and more coins. I think as you kind of go through, you'll recognize that, yeah, this is a place of very traditional riches, not necessarily things like exorbitant um, weaponry or anything.
right. So Jarek might kind of turning back as we're moving to leave and kind of echoing what Island and Taryn had said that we will return the um the cube when we can. um and then he's gonna say like perhaps perhaps when we do, if you would allow us to perhaps take a bit of this treasure um to
Roll a persuasion for me.
yeah, that tracks.
I think I think you're going to have it kind of translated through Eku that while the treasure here is NangNang's, it doesn't belong to them to give away, and it doesn't belong to you to take. And I think this is actually going to be the point where, more or less, while you all are dressing yourselves back up, the chieftain Yorb is going to continue to talk and kind of pass this story along to Eku. And she's not necessarily going to continue and share it with you all while you're dressing, but basically listen, and then she's going to pass it on at a later point to you. But this is going to be an opportunity where King Yorb is going to pass kind of a legend of the 9 gods onto Eku. And it's going to be the opportunity that I use to give you all a little bit of an extra clue as to the relationship of these gods. So you've already picked up on little bits of them in the 2 temples that you've been on. So some of this will make a little bit of sense. Others will be clues kind of foreshadowing towards the future. But you will eventually have Eku recount to you the story of the 9 gods, and basically she'll add a little bit where long ago the god Obtoa hardened his heart and vowed to weep for the people of Omu no longer. The rain stopped, the jungle withered and died, and death swept through Omu. One morning a wise Zorbo emerged from her hollow tree and spoke to the dying Omawans. To convince Obtoa of their worth, she decided to cook him a stew made from all of their good qualities. Catching such virtues wouldn't be easy, so she asked a wily Almiraj to help her. The Almiraj snuck recklessness into the pot, which she saw as a virtue, and Obtoa spat out the stew when he tasted it. From that day on, Oblaka the Zorbo and Ijin the Amraj became terrible enemies. At noon, a brave Kamadan hopped down from her rock. She saw the evil in the Omawans' hearts and decided to lance it like a troublesome boil. The Kamadan fashioned a holy spear, but she left it by the riverbank, and a crafty Grung stole it. In her rage, Shagamambi, the Kamadan, forgot all about the Omawans and chased NangNang the Grung forever across the sky. Whenever evening came, a wily Elbis stepped from his reed hut. He didn't like the Omawans, but without him he'd have no one to play his tricks on. The Iblis sent Marsh Frog to reason with Obtoa, but the frog was angry and decided to wrestle the god instead. This amused Obtoa, so he gave the frog tentacles to make it stronger. When Kabazin the Frogimith returned to Papazotl the Elbis, the Iblis, he chased Papazotl into the swamp with his new tentacles. That night, a Sioux monster broke into Obtoa's palace and stole a pail of water from the Omawans. For the Omawans, my bad. When the god came running to find it, the Sioux monster hid the pail in a Jakuli's burrow. Obtoa asked the jungle animals where his water was hidden, and Mao the Jakuli was too honest to lie. For Wango the Sioux monster found out how Mao had betrayed him. He vowed to catch the Jakuli and eat him up. All the while, Uncle the Flail Snail lived deep under the earth. The noise of the other animals fighting made her slither up to the surface, and when day dawned over her shell, the light blinded Obtoa and made his eyes water. Life returned to Omu, and the people built shrines to honor the animals who saved them. So that is the legend that kind of follows the 9 trickster gods. You all have a solid understanding that you have come in contact with NangNang and Shigambi, which you can expect to be the snake-headed leopard, and then Ublaka and Ijin, which is the Amraj.
Tell us again about Ablaki and Yijing, the Amirage. What is? I don't know what an Amirage is.
Roll a nature check. And we could do a group nature check here. Everybody roll a nature. So, let's see. Almiraj are rabbit-like creatures. They have a singular horn that grows from their forehead between their ears. They are often very secretive, perhaps very difficult to see for most people who have business that they go about within the jungle. They are more attracted to things that become one with the jungle. But if you are lucky, they can be very good signs for things to come. They are rather magical creatures, and I don't think of the least because of who Asian is.
And we know the monkeys from the bridge, right?
What are you thinking about there about the monkeys?
Well, that was just a fourth animal that we would recognize. That was a trickster god. Forget the name. The laughing monkeys.
I mean, from the Muhaha Bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not a particular monkey. Like Ublaka is the bear that you guys already have his cube. Ublaka, they're like almost, I think we were trying to explain it, and they're almost like Tasmanian devils, or like, oh man, why can't I think of the koala bears, like the trash pandas? Um,
Raccoons?
Raccoons, yes. What an amazing word. I gotta love that trash panda comes to mind before raccoon. I was like rewatching the like family vacation movie where the raccoons like are talking about, oh, they put the trash inside the house so we can't get to it. That's fine. We'll just break in. But yeah, like I think going through the different trickster gods, Wango might be the closest one to recognize as a monkey, and he's the one referred to as the Sioux monster.
Got it. Okay. And I also didn't mean to get us going the wrong direction on that. I just was trying to remember. Where's our next temple? Around the outside of the circle?
So you all are probably approaching evening at this point, where you have a solid understanding of you should either try to sleep near here, which might be rough because of how wet everything is, or you should look for a place that you can try to rest for the night. But it is up to you all what you would like to do. But you are approaching evening and dark times.
Can we rest in the temple?
If you want to sleep naked.
I just want to sleep safe.
So Jarek's going to suggest, maybe we don't know exactly, we have to search for these temples, but perhaps if we continue kind of start moving towards the east along this wall here from this temple. If there's maybe we can um, try and find maybe a building that doesn't seem quite so kind of dilapidated or quite so flooded, and find a place they might be able to make camp.
So is that thinking like follow it like southeast into like that kind of corner like below the cliff?
Is there, or I was actually thinking almost like continuing on like northeast from here, if there's uh, a way to get that way, or if this is kind of the terminus of this path, in which case, yeah, it would be kind of going back south, I guess.
So yeah, I don't think it would take you long to recognize that if you continue northeast, you at least have some level of exploration where you are inside of the actual like waters that seem to flood this area. So moving a little bit northeast of NangNang's temple, you're seeing this whole area is flooded. It's generally about 2 feet or so deep in all of this.
Gotcha. Okay, so in that case, yeah, suggest maybe kind of we start backtracking and look for maybe there's a building or something we can kind of camp out in.
So Eku, I think, will share the thought that sleeping in a temple might feel safe, but we know that there are others searching for these cubes. Sleeping near a temple might give us the ability to be overlooked. So I think she'll kind of concur with what Jarek's thinking, to go into that like little bit of area that's nearby and just try to find a building might be among the safest choices that you have.
And we shouldn't forget about that wizard that got away. Oh, if it's been watching, but I'm sure we haven't seen the last of him or those like him.
So, as far as things go, Yorb took you through an area where there are 4 buildings almost immediate south of you, and you've already kind of cut through the vines enough that you guys can make that walk. That would be quicker to follow that same route than necessarily like going off target there to see if there's more stuff. So, those 4 buildings are the nearest and like simplest to get to. Inside of that same little area, though, there's probably like 5 or 6 buildings that are to the south of it that are also options depending on how far you want to backtrack. And then also there's the option to backtrack then to where you get back near Ublaka's temple, where you all had seen, that was probably like 10 buildings immediately around his temple, and you all had crossed about 5 buildings on the north side of the street that led to the west of Ublaka's. Oops. And probably passed by 4 buildings when you found not Yorb, Imbok. So those are kind of like the buildings you all have already explored. Maybe about like 30 choices along this little route you've cleared.
So Jarek could probably suggest maybe not going like right next to the temple, maybe continuing on a bit, but not getting too far. And also suggesting, just in case, maybe we can try to, in case, anyone comes looking for us while we're camped, if we can essentially try to um kind of camouflage where we're staying, or set like false, kind of make it look like maybe we headed off, set like a false tracks like in a little even further in, so it looks like we've gone farther into the city before doubling back, kind of thing. um but so maybe like not those first 4 buildings, but like maybe the next set, like kind of pick almost one at random, But I don't know what Island and Taryn are thinking.
While they're thinking about that, let me ask you this. Are you kind of thinking about, if you go past those initial four, exploring all of the other, what is it, like kind of five initial buildings to the south of them, so there's tracks into all of these buildings? Or do you want to try to like almost walk back towards Ublakas, and then I don't even know what kind of ways you would have to like get off the path and try to backtrack in a way to get back? I feel like that's one of those things where the like extreme difficulty of how some things works out, like how you want to try to like leave no trace behind you.
Yeah, no, yeah. Now that you mention it, it probably makes more sense to just almost make like a multitude of tracks, like you said, like kind of like make tracks into like a number of different buildings, and that way, maybe like if anyone does come looking, if they go looking in like a different building first, we at least won't be surprised in the night, and we might have a chance to kind of ready ourselves. Um, Whereas if we just go straight for one building, then if they catch the trail, they'll immediately find us. So maybe more, not so much trying to hide our tracks, but essentially making like a number of going to like four different buildings, and then eventually pick one to actually stay in. You know, more of that kind of thing. I guess probably makes more sense.
Where does Taryn and Island, where are you two at on this?
Uh, yeah, I think multitude of tracks makes sense. Is there a reason not to cross the water to those five buildings and like go sleep in the round circle up on the roof of the one to the I don't know, right of the map? Like ultimately, we're trying to go retrace our steps south down the map. Am I even looking at the right part of the map? I'm looking at Eku's token.
Yeah, that's where the party is right now. I feel like what you're saying is to go for, that's the one you were looking at?
Yeah, what if we go over there? Because it's 2 feet of water. Is the water dangerous that we know about?
Nothing dangerous has ever come out of the water that you guys have experienced in this campaign.
Well, it does seem like we have to go north and west, right?
Yeah, I'm
To-
kind of on board with that. Going further in north, because we don't really have to cover our tracks in water either. There's that.
What do you think, Jared?
Do we still have you, Justin? Did you lose Bluetooth?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm here. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It would probably be more difficult to track us through the water, but I don't know if I want to go. I mean, there could be poisonous snakes, and who knows what's kind of in that water, and not sure we'll be able to find any dry spot to make camp.
Yeah,
But
I was
if
like
you two
thinking
think
about
that's
the.
the
I was thinking about the roof of one of those buildings, like the upper levels that are out of the water. It seemed like that was my hope. But yeah, we might get attacked by something. That's certainly true.
and if those more of those wizards can fly, if we camp on the roof, we might be more exposed to view.
Yeah, and we're not even sure how intact the buildings are. There might not even be a way up on the roofs for them.
Yeah, do we have a sense? And it looks like there are second stories to those buildings, and I would assume there's some internal stairs. Does that seem right from where we're standing? Am I being too much of an archaeologist?
I think there's certainly evidence that there are signs of places that you can be up a second story. Most of this place has kind of like a uh almost Romanesque, to me at least, Romanesque kind of construction where there are often multiple tiers, and like the lower levels are kind of a very basic living quarters, often with like stalls towards the front where you can like sell goods, and second story stuff often ends up being other homes. I think one thing that might stand out about some of these places that are second story but not of the same floor plan is that often those are other things. So, like that big circular thing, I would almost question that maybe that is something closer to maybe like a water storage compartment type of thing. The one like on top that's just to the west of it, perhaps something like a little like bird sanctuary type of thing. I think what you will find about what you all have seen more from like that initial thoroughway you walk down towards the south is that the places there that had second stories, they were basically like the same footprint on that second story. So that's one thing that like me kind of analyzing what those look like is those are different than like maybe that you're going to see like an apartment on top. There's going to be something a little bit different about how those sit.
Gotcha. I mean, do we agree we have to go north and west? Is that do I have that right, guys?
I mean, well, at some point we want to explore the rest of the city, um, find the other temples. I'm just not sure if we want to do it now with night falling.
Yeah, and what you guys do know is again, like you are at the cliffs to the east. So you definitely know that you have to go west. It is a question of whether you expect to go northwest or whether you expect to go southwest. But effectively, you guys have a solid understanding that you have this like temple circle of the Yuan Ti immediately to the west of you, and you have to go around it to start to explore the rest of the city.
And Jared, where were you thinking about crashing on this side of the water gap?
One of these buildings to our south here.
All
I
right, well,
think he was
let's go
saying
get a rest.
inside of those like 4 or 5 buildings.
Yeah, like not going past these kind of this first 4 blocks. Yeah, so the area got circled. Yeah, kind of one of those there.
Yeah, and then just laying out a multitude of tracks into every building to cover which one we are actually in, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if you all look at those buildings and that's where you plan to go to, you effectively have already cleared a path that would allow you to enter effectively like the Western Four. So you can put in a little bit of time to clear a path to this one that is tucked all the way into the east. And that will also yeah, I think that's really the one to kind of gain access to. Otherwise, the little bit of a path that you've already cleared with Imbok effectively gives you access to the other four that are there. When you guys decide to camp, those are my next two questions. Do you want to clear a path to the one to the far east? And which one of those 5 buildings do you want to camp inside of? Do you all want to explore these buildings? Or are you just clearing a path to the entrance and stopping there? What kind of thoughts do you all have there?
Yeah. So Jarek would suggest taking a little time, clear a path to a couple of the other ones. Maybe like not actually explore them all, but kind of like walk inside and um, make it look like we've been inside maybe, and then um, yeah, maybe the one furthest again, to the east against right against the cliff side. Um, yeah, um, actually end up actually camping out in that one.
So we'll make some decoy paths.
Just trying to kind of muddy the path a bit to at least make it look like it's possible we could be in a couple of these other buildings too, in case anyone comes looking for us in the night.
If we do not clear any more paths to these, we can perhaps walk to the entrances of these 4 buildings, and then from the water's edge, make our way along the cliff to the backside of this building that you would like to camp to. And basically, like where Eku's counter is, she'll point to that building in the corner, but basically tell you, like, what if we clear our path effectively along this wall and to the back of it? That's the one building you guys don't have a path to, where it's clearest you've traveled, and it would give you a little bit more of a hiding spot.
Yeah, Jarek would kind of nod to Eku. It's a sound plan, I think.
So
Agreed.
otherwise, not exploring the other buildings, you're basically putting in some time to clear to their entrance, correct?
Right. Yeah, that's Jarek's idea.
Gotcha. So I think it's safe to say exploring a little bit to the north, seeing those initial buildings, exploring a little bit to the south and clearing entrances to those 4. So it looks like you've basically gotten to all of those 4, and at least like your tracks could be lost as you entered them. And then returning to the water's edge and clearing back down, you guys will probably be caught with a little bit of the darkness of the transition between the sun going down and the crescent moon rising. You are in a waning moon on Flame Rule the 25th here. And when you all make it into this building that will be effectively inside of darkness, I'm going to assume on some level that we've got Terran lighting up his rings and we've got Island creating a little bit of light. Jarek, are you going to light a torch as you all start to explore, or go off of the 2 of theirs?
I think I will stick close to them and just try and rely on their light.
Gotcha. So whoever would like to lead the group in entering into this building, I would like you to roll a D100.
Is it you or me, Taryn?
I could take the lead.
All
Maybe
right.
small enough that most things would miss me.
Roll a D6 for me, Taryn. So while you all explore through this building, looking through, it seems like kind of a long hall. As far as things go, it's pretty well covered through vines and everything, and it doesn't seem to have a lot of easy access from the other side, as this was kind of one that was almost entirely consumed by the jungle that's almost overhanging from like the cliffside. It seems almost like protected by wood across its roof and around. You all have kind of like an upper level of rafters where you could easily like hang hammocks, but as far as like setting up tents, you could easily set up your tents inside of this basically like long hall. But other than that, kind of exploring through, there is going to be a point where Taryn finds what seems to be a bit of a trap inside of one of the kind of like square flagstones that makes up the floor of this building. And looking to deactivate it, you can raise this cube a little bit and you will see that it's not a trap. It's a little stash of goods. And inside you are able to find 2 jade rings, 2 figurines, and a couple of crystal glasses, like goblets, crystal goblets. The figurines represent. Let me have Eileen and Jarek roll a d10. So I think one of the figurines is, I think, the frog Hemeth. It is a frog with massive, like, squid tentacles. And then the other one is a giant snail that has almost like a kind of like bright, shiny, silvered shell. And it has like 4 big tentacles that kind of stick off from it. But you can write down these 6 objects. All of them are worth 25 gold pieces for the mechanics of recording them. But you all have your little temple to rest in. And when you are prepared, you can certainly go into anything you would like to do for the evening. Kind of classic, Eku can summon some food for you, create some new water so you all can refill your water compartments, and you all can go about your night before going on watches.
So Jarek is going to try and, if he can, uh, try and almost set up, like, just using some regular rope. Um, Try and set up almost like a, not kind of like a tripwire, very crude kind of thing, just that might, if anybody does try to come in through the night, might trip up, or at least kind of, um, make some sound that might alert them if somebody comes into the room, like almost kind of like across the doorway. May not be effective, may be obvious to anybody coming inside, but uh,
Gotcha. If you don't have something like string that's a little bit less obvious, like one thing, I don't know when you guys will go back to a cultured place, but one thing that there's always an option of is buying like string and a bell for creating very crude alarms. Like fishing line and a bell is one of my go-tos on really cool mundane items to collect. If you don't have anything like that, you can certainly do it with rope, but the rope you have has like high tensile strength. It's probably pretty thick, like hempen rope. But we could also say if you would like to destroy a section of rope, you could certainly pull a length of string from it and be able to save, like create some lengths of string out of some length of your rope. Would you like to basically maintain your rope, or do you want to create some string by destroying your rope?
yeah. So with Jason, I think he in our old campaign he used that bell and string trick, but Jason doesn't have anything like that. Uh, he'll see if, kind of explaining his thinking. He'll see if Island or Taryn has anything that might uh, be of use, but if not, yeah, maybe he'll try and essentially create some like crude or twine like, uh, string by essentially dismantling some of his, like, the length of the rope.
Gotcha. Do either Taryn or Island have anything like fishing line, string, or a bell?
No, I've just got some hempen rope. I've got a yeah.
Anything from you, Taryn?
Nope.
So I would say if you mark down that your rope is like 40 feet, you could cut off like a 10-foot section and make a bunch of string from that. If you wanted to make shorter lengths, you could call it 45 feet. Just let me basically just like decide how much you want to do. And I would say on some level, we could probably count on whatever like length you cut off, you can unbraid it down to like maybe 10 pieces of that length of like hempen string essentially. I feel like it's probably that kind of rope where it's a bunch of little pieces that are twisted into the big piece.
Yeah, like it's braided, yeah, and then you can kind of like, yeah,
I can do
yeah. I
that.
think I'll.
I'm up for that. I'll make you some string. Do you find some things that you can use to make some noise? That sound all right?
Yeah. I mean, I got plenty of rope, so I can use some of mine to make it.
I
Okay.
feel like this group has like extra lengths of rope too, so it's not like I feel like you guys found at least 3 or 4 extra lengths like in those backpacks, right?
Yeah, in that abandoned camp we found, we got a bunch of extra rope. So I'm carrying two 50-foot lengths myself, so I can, yeah, I can like cut out maybe like a 15-foot from one of them.
I think it's probably entirely viable knowing that Chris has the magical karambits that you guys could pierce a hole through some copper pieces and make at least like a little bit of kind of like the tin can style of alarm system. Copper, I think, is probably the. Oh shit, I guess really gold might be even more malleable than copper because of how easy it is to work. So you guys have those options. I feel like taking a few coins, you could make something that rings.
Yeah, I think, yeah, gold is pretty soft metal, I think, right? So yeah, Jarek doesn't mind, and I got nothing to spend it on out here, so um he'll offer to use some of his some of the coins he's carrying. Um Figure spacing them out. We make it end up making like say a 10-foot length, put one every. Um,
I think you probably want to have two next to each other because you need them to ring off of each other.
oh right, right,
But I
yeah,
think the point is like I think you guys can make a crude rudimentary like bell alarm on these little strings that you can place around the entrances. There's the entrance that is basically covered by the vines now, that's like the main, and then the entrance that you all came through. As far as things go, do you want to try to place them along that orange route that you cleared along the actual like entryway? Do you have thoughts on that? For instance, I think sending Terran out with his rings, he makes the least amount of light. You could send him out to at least put like one more length close to the building. That'll give you like a sign that somebody's sneaking up behind you.
yeah. Taryn, if you're up for it, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm up for it. I could do that.
So you guys can do a solid job securing this little building here to prepare for a night's rest. Do you have anything else in mind before settling down? Right now, I've got the idea that you guys have those 3 little alarms, one to the west, one to the east, and then one a little bit north along that route.
That's all Jarek's got. Jarek's got in mind. How much rope do you think? Or how many feet of the rope do you think that would take to make three of those?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, whatever distance you decide to cut off is up to you. I think once you cut off a section, you'll have like 10 pieces of that length. So if you wanted to cut off 1 foot, you would probably need to tie them all together to get like 9 foot of distance. But you would only have them, you know what I mean? Like if you cut off 1 foot, you would be limited to tying them together to make something that's useful. If you cut off 10 feet, you probably have a lot more space, but that makes like 10 of these 10-foot strings. That's why I think it's up
Gotcha.
to you to decide what you're looking to go for. If you did 1 foot to make 3 of these strings, you would have 2 knots in the center of each string, but at the same time, you could then tie them across a 3-foot door, like a 2-foot doorway pretty easily, and you would be able to tie them across your trail pretty easily. But if you had like a 10-foot string, you can tie those off well beyond the outside of the trail and have, you know, the trail and then like 3 feet to either side of it would still have that alarm system on it. That's why I mean, like, you guys have the idea. I want you to tell me, like, I don't think there's any loss in value to pierce a hole through your gold. So if you make 3 10-foot lengths of these, you could put as many gold pieces as you want on them. I think you should do in pairs. But like 10 pieces of gold on each one is a lot more bells than if you do like 2 pieces of gold on each one.
Right. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'll you cut off like a 10-foot length of rope, and then using that make 10 foot long, strings. We can, if needed, can cut them down. Better to go kind of start off, you know, larger and then cut it down to size if needed. And then yeah, with the idea that like these coins are more by weight rather than the value comes from the weight of the metal, not so much from the it's not like a fiat value system. So Jarek will string together, probably he'll put for each of the 3 that we're using now, maybe put 10 on each length, 10 coins on each length.
Gotcha. So you can definitely set that up. Got a bunch of little bells set up on it. Depending on how you all then like camp out in this room, you can also use some of those other strings to string between other things if you would like within the actual building itself, assuming that somebody has gotten past all of those other traps. Do you have any interest in doing that? Counting on, say, like there's like um pillars and kind of studs like inside of the actual house.
So Jarek's a little hesitant to do that just in case, like, if, say we have to flee here real quickly, the more we set up, the more we kind of have, we don't want to get caught up by our own traps. But he is thinking, like, if there's a way to try and kind of dirty up some of the coins so that, like, the glint of them doesn't give off, if there's like moonlight that
You
hits
can
them.
definitely use some mud to like kind of cover them in like little bits of reduce some of the shine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Just try to, like, yeah, muddy them up a bit to try and reduce the.
Gotcha. So with 3 little defensive bell kind of strings set up, does that sound good for you all to set into rest?
Violent
Yeah,
Taryn,
totally.
any other ideas?
Oh, if I press the right buttons, I can talk. No, I don't have anything else.
All right, and Jarrett can offer to take the. Figure we'll set a watch as well, so Jarrett can take the first watch.
So let me get some perceptions from you, Jarek.
Sorry, do you want me to roll them both now, or?
It's fine like this right away, but for what it's worth, I'm going to explain it, and then you can certainly roll the other one. I don't really care in the long one when you guys do both. Um, as far as your first watch goes, you're going to kind of be like in and out of actually paying attention. a certain level of just kind of like resting on the security that you have. You guys know that you're not going to be attacked immediately, like from the east, being so close to the cliff face. You've got extra security on that side. There's a lot of security that they have to get through, just like busting through the actual jungle to come at you from the west. It feels pretty solid to you, and you're going to rest pretty easy there. Let me get another perception from you. Next hour is a little bit easier for you to stay attentive as you're kind of like use that like first bit of a little bit more relaxation, stay a little bit more active, and kind of same ideas going to pass by. You have very little to worry about. You keep a pretty solid watch preparing for when it will be time to wake the next person. Who will we have doing the second watch? We got Eku, Terran, or Island.
I think Jericho, he'll move to Wake Island for the second watch.
Gotcha. If it sounds good for you, Island, let me get a perception check.
Hold on a second. Pretty perceptive.
Gotcha. So as you kind of spend your first time on watch here in Omu, keeping a pretty solid ability to like keep yourself awake, paying attention to all of the sounds of the jungle about you. Everything seems pretty simple, pretty delightful evening here. There doesn't really seem to be any signs of any imminent danger. And let me get another perception from you. So as this next hour picks up, you are going to have kind of a pretty similar experience at the start of it. Very quiet, very simple. Over time into the second latter portion, you are going to start to hear, I think probably the first signs would be little bits of kind of screams and shrieks that kind of echo through like the stone structures of Omu. Let me get a nature check from you.
Mm.
So the initial sound is going to kind of recall to you humanoids in danger kind of screams, and you can't quite locate them. It seems near enough, but it's hard to pick up because it is at least far enough away that like you're also getting like the echo off of the actual like walls of the city. So however it's echoing, it could be like a little bit to the north of you and it's echoing off of this wall of the cliff that's kind of southeast of you. It could be a little bit south of you and it's echoing off of the wall to the northeast of you, or it could be maybe closer to you and it's echoing from one of the other stone structures. It's hard to pick up because it is an echo, but it is relatively inside of this area where you all are that you heard these screams coming from. Effectively, whoops, that was not what I wanted. Effectively, to say you have a pretty solid idea that wherever this scream came from, it came from vaguely inside of that. It's almost heart shaped.
They're in the neighborhood, but not in the building.
Yep.
And I can't, like, can I identify the creatures that are screaming? Is it like small animals or are they humanoid?
That's where I'm giving you. You've got humanoid with that 6.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe the bad guys are at the temple. I'm gonna kind of hunker down and keep an eye on the entrance that we cleared and just be really vigilant, but try to let everybody sleep.
Gotcha. So another few minutes are gonna go by. You hear a few more of these screams. Let me get another nature check from you. So as they kind of continue on and you hear them kind of coming from other areas, getting a little bit closer to the point where you have a pretty solid identification that this isn't actually maybe something that you would call a human, but it is a little bit closer to an ape as you start to recognize these screams are almost like a, I feel like they're called like shrieker monkeys that make like these extremely horrific, like blood curdling sounds. And it's kind of a little bit easier for you to identify as perhaps this is some sort of primate or ape that is making these sounds. A little bit closer. What are you thinking there?
I'm just going to post up so I can, really quickly both of these guys a shake if we have to wake everybody. But trying to hold off doing that until I know for sure they found the building, they found the entry, and they're coming in.
Gotcha. A little bit more time is going to pass by before the sound of these creatures is actually like closer. You start to hear some footsteps like on the roof of this building, and eventually you're going to see the first of these creatures kind of like swing in on a vine and kind of like it is in the rafters of this building, and you can see like the first little signs of that there seems to be like a primate kind of like swinging around up above. Uh, and at this point, the two of you kind of recognizing one another, you are now like staring down a little ape. What are you thinking here?
I'm going to give it a fortuitous stare and show it my open hands and not be aggressive.
Roll a persuasion. So you kind of like almost like a little bit of like a prostrate motion of just opening your hands, kind of like showing your chest sort of thing. And it seems to stare at you for a few moments before you see as a quick moment it is going to sling something towards you. What are you thinking as it seems to be throwing something at you?
I'm going to catch it.
Roll a dexterity check. So you go to catch it, and you're just going to get like pelted as you just miss it in this darkness. Do you have a different save than like your just dexterity bonus? Do you have a +2 dexterity?
I do have a +2 dexterity. Is that the wrong roll?
Gotcha. No, no, your save and your dexterity are the same. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Um, as long as it wasn't adding your proficiency. I should have known with a +2 it can't add your proficiency at this level. So as you go to catch it, you're just going to miss. This thing's going to pelt off of you, and you're just going to see like a little round, like red, like kind of spiky looking fruit, but it's just like a red and orange. Effectively, it's like a pear that has like soft little spikes on the outside. It's far more of a it looks almost like it's on fire kind of things, but it's just a little piece of fruit without like a general reaction to it. This thing is just going to kind of like swing back outside, and it seems to leave you alone. 15 or so more minutes are going to go by where you still hear these creatures up and around the rafters. Another 10 or so minutes getting close to where you should wake up the next person. And it would appear that while there is more than just this one creature, they don't seem all that interested in coming in here. And it seems like it's enough to say that that was averted.
Cool. I'm going to examine that fruit. Think I can eat it?
You can certainly try.
No, what's my survival skill say about eating it? Good idea, bad idea?
You can roll a survival. I know somewhere I have the actual fruit written down in this place, so give me 1 second.
Is this the sound of the water moving around?
Yeah, I feel like the soundtrack that is playing in the background fits Omu, and that you guys are like near the coast, but it's still like a jungle track. I can't remember what the actual title was. I think as you look to this fruit's not going to kill you if you eat it. But I don't think you know enough about it as far as the flora and fauna of this place goes to really recognize it. But you have a pretty solid understanding that you're not going to die if you have it.
Well, I'm gonna hang on to it, I guess. Maybe we'll run into some more monkeys. So did you say it was like a fire fruit?
Yep, that's correct.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna wake up the next guy.
Got Terran and Echo.
I'm gonna wake up Taryn. I'm gonna tell him the story about the monkeys. I'm gonna give him the fruit. Tell him to hang on to that. Might need it. I'll go back to sleep.
So when you are ready, Terran, let me get a perception from you. So, probably about half hour or so into your watch, you're going to hear one of the coins ring from the string that you set outside of the camp, off to the north. Are you there, Terran?
Yeah, sorry. I just have to press the right buttons, and people can hear
Gotcha.
me. Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a little bit to see, like, if it gets closer, or if it was just like ring it, or it's like a wild animal catching it, or if it was someone moving towards us.
Gotcha. So you can roll another investigation for me here, as you try to figure out like how to interpret some of the other sounds of the jungle. You're kind of thinking and listening, trying to keep quiet but focus your attention, and you're almost like mind's eye imagining that point that you drew the string well across that actual path. You're going to pick up at least a little bit of the same conversation, the same voices that you've heard from the Yuan-Ti in the past. And it's going to be pretty clear to you that there seems to be Yuan-Ti who are coming along the path, and they are making their way towards that eastern side of this building that you all have come into.
Oh, if it's Yuanti, I'm relaxing then. It's like, okay, it's our watchers basically. That's okay.
Gotcha. So almost expected you're going to hear again like the same kind of ring as they get towards the eastern side of the actual building here. When they get to that point, still kind of same idea. You're just like waiting, almost like staring at them to like trip it. Same thing. I think you might be pressing the wrong button.
No, sorry, I'm just thinking a bit.
Gotcha.
I'm just going slow. Um, but they're getting close now, or at least I think they're getting close. So,
Yeah, that's the sign of them getting to the doorway into this building.
all
So,
right
like,
then.
if you were looking at them, you could make eye contact with them right now.
Then I try to look if I can see them, or if they're trying to be sneaky.
No, for what it's worth, like at that point, they're making their way in this direction. But like when you know they already tripped the first one, if you're still like holding on that position, you basically have a certain amount of time that you expect them to arrive at that doorway, and that's pretty much right as they arrive. You're like there, basically, like in your head, predicting they should be getting close to the door by this point. If they're coming in, they're going to trip it right about now. And within like a moment of when you say like now to yourself, you're going to hear the ring of the coins as they basically bump into that string again. And that's where I'm asking you, like, what are you thinking at that point?
All right, now I'm on the same page then. Um, yeah, I'm basically just gonna call out them that you're more than welcome to join me here in our camp if you want to. Thinking like they're do you want to still?
So as they kind of look across to where you've basically like given up where you're at, you'll see these two figures kind of very, very shadowed at this point, as there is very minimal light coming in from the grounds about. But they are. Yeah, it's just two of these creatures. Both of them are like kind of what you've often seen, where they are humanoid torsos and snake-like appendages below like where their waist would be, and they kind of look towards where this little like ringing has occurred, and they'll look towards you and speaking into the darkness. Perhaps we are not as welcome as you would say. Were you not hoping to have company this night?
Well, it's more that we've bumped into a red wizard, and we're not very keen to meet him in well, not anytime soon. So that's more safety measure to not be spotted by him. It's not a problem.
It is intriguing that you would know the Red Wizard so soon and be weary of them. They are active in this area of Homu. Rasnasi sent us to aid you. If we do not leave this place now, they will soon be set upon you.
Also, they're following you right now. Am I getting that correct?
They have beset this entire area of Omu around the shrine of NangNang. Do you have NangNang's cue?
We actually have two cubes by now. Um, the cube Well, NangNang's cube and Ublaka's cube. Ublaka?
Then perhaps you know why. They have increased their presence around the temple of NangNang.
Yeah, that probably had something to do with us. Yes.
Perhaps now is the time then to decide. Would you like to waken your friends? And we can determine whether we would attempt to flee to safety or intend to fight them.
Yeah, it's. Give me a sec. I'm gonna go wake everyone up and tell them about. Well, what I've just been told about the Red Wizard and how they up their presence basically around here.
So as they kind of fill you all into this, that you are likely to have an encounter with red wizards if you stay in this location. You have two of these Yuanti with you now. The idea that Rosny has sent them to at least aid you in either of your options, to flee or to fight. What is your thoughts?
Preferably, I would like to flee. I am not really up for another fight right now. How about you guys, Taryn, Alan? Uh, Taryn, God damn, Jarek, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not gonna get any sleep because they're coming, then we can flee.
Jericho nod in agreement.
The nearest path to safety would be to return you into our area of the city, where you will be within Yuanti control. Is that acceptable for you?
That is acceptable to me. How about you guys?
Well, we haven't finished our mission yet.
And Rasnasi intends to set you back in to the city to retain the rest of Obtoa's cubes.
Okay, as long as we do the mission.
So, you all have a few moments here. You can certainly collect up like the little string and coin that you have on that western, the eastern, and start to set back out. Um, do you. I think the Yuanti would point you towards going to the south and kind of following the cliff face and trying to make for that same entrance that you last left the central area from. Does that sound good to you all?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I mean, Jarek's he looks a bit leery about following the Yuan-Ti, but Rosny did say they would be watching, and it does make sense that there would be the wizard. We'd seen at least one red wizard already near the temple, so he will, yeah, he will kind of somewhat reluctantly follow their suggested route.
So, with everyone returned, we can jump back in. Effectively, this is kind of an option, I think. Maybe make it a little bit more like a skill challenge on what sort of thoughts do you all have to try to improve your chances of getting away. Perhaps doing it more than simply trying to like stealth away. Um, but I feel like that gives it at least a little bit more of a theme where you guys can interact with this getting away moment. What kind of thoughts do you all have with this?
So maybe again, maybe we try to use some of these buildings, like kind of darting in and out, like as we're going, trying to, as much as we can, staying off the more of the broader kind of thoroughfares, like cutting, if we can, given like the vegetation and stuff, using some of that to try to essentially kind of hide from, or not hide, but kind of break line of sight with people who might be, you know, coming from behind us.
So does that sound viable to think of it as try to sneak through the vines instead of removing them to try to like stay inside of the vegetarian and make your way through like the more difficulty of them and avoiding places where like Imbok and you all had already cleared the way?
I mean, yeah, that would be Jarek's idea. It'll slow us down probably, but um, slower going than going through already cleared places. But and I and
Gotcha.
and I don't know if the Yuan-Ti would be able to do that. Like I didn't even think of when I was like when we were setting those things, like if you know a person could just like step over them if they spotted them, but like the, the the Yuan-Ti, like they can't really. I don't think they can like jump with their like snake like lower bodies. I didn't, didn't even think of that. Didn't even occur to me.
No, I don't think that's really in their skill house. I think, or in their wheelhouse. I think they would have to go around. So we've got Jarek intending to kind of dart you all through basically the undergrowth and trying to use that to protect you all. What kind of thoughts does Terran or Island have to kind of aid the group in escaping in this moment?
I almost to see what he can do to cover our trail.
Gotcha. What do you have to do that?
I just want to. I'll maybe drag a branch behind us if we're leaving kind of a trail through the mud. Like, how does it look? Like, what's the ground like?
Most of this area is like heavily grown over by the jungle and vines. Omu has kind of been reclaimed by the jungle, so a lot of this is that you all are constantly struggling through to make paths, anyways. I would say that you can certainly do something like that. I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, but you can certainly attempt. What are you thinking of, Taryn?
To be honest, I'm not getting much what I think. We are already stealthing through, covering up tracks. I'm not sure what I can do. Yes, maybe be a kind of lookout, see if I can see anything. I try to spot anything as we're walking through, like any humanoids.
So let me get an acrobatics from Jarek. We'll do a nature from Island, and then a perception from Taryn.
I was hoping for survival. Here's a nature. Ouch.
A lot of what survival is, though, is it's like trying to search for things and plot paths. Trying to hide paths and make them look like you've not been there is why I was thinking nature. You're not like following it, you're trying to hide it. So I think you all are going to find, as you kind of get to the choke point between the cliffs and the city of the Yuan-Ti, that it appears the wizards are kind of search party wise almost coming in from behind you. Perhaps not necessarily following you so much as that they've kind of arrived at that point. And I think in the process of kind of getting up to you all, Taryn is going to be the person who kind of like locks eyes in one of these moments where you sneak out of this little like almost tunnel through the jungle that Jarek's kind of leading you all forward through. You're going to kind of like peek up through this little bit of a canopy and almost make eye contact with one of these figures who seems to be effectively alien to you all and seems to be kind of on the hunt for you all. What is the next thought for the three of you? Do you have ideas how to continue forward and try to get away? Are you thinking to reassess things and to turn and try to fight? What are your thoughts?
Does Taryn know? Does he see? Uh, at this point, does he just see one or multiple? Is he able to um, let us know, like just like quickly?
I think the information that can be passed on to you all without continuing forward, where things are going to escalate and or de-escalate, is that he's made contact, like that he sees one of them. Any more than that is going to end up being part of deciding where you guys go with it. Theoretically, what I'm going to tell you guys is moving forward on a skill challenge, you've got 1 success and 2 failures.
Yeah. So Jarek is thinking, um, uh, continuing on through the undergrowth is going to be, now that they've spotted us, it'll be much more difficult to lose their trail again. Um, he's thinking maybe we turn and at least maybe try and fight, or at least you know maybe try to like you know uh, drive this one off, or something, or like kind of like I think he'd almost offer to like kind of like stand and turn and stand and kind of like fight a rear guard as the others continue on. But he's thinking it might be again, yeah, now that they found us, probably turn and fight at least for a bit.
could turn and fight. Hopefully, there's not like a lot of them. This is just like the scouting party. Hopefully, we could, well, basically knock them out and get on our way. That's possible.
So, two of you thinking to turn and fight. Does that sound good to Island?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. What are we doing? What are the numbers?
Well, so far we know one.
All right.
All right. So as you all like take this moment to look to yourselves, you are going to hear from behind you as you hear a human kind of yell out to the extent of, "Here, I've got them here." And I need you all to roll for initiative. Alrighty. So as you hear this guard yell out to call for the others over here, we are going to get to the point where another figure runs up, getting close to the same point where that person is. They are effectively side by side of each other, and you are going to see as he is going to fling a javelin into the air, and he is going to aim for Terran, and with a big ol' 4 to hit, he's going to miss, and that will take us to Terran. What would you like to do? Is this figure's yelled for help? You've seen the other arrive, throw his javelin towards you. There's now two people in front of you, and we'll call it you guys are within movement to get up to them. If you want to close, if you want to stick to range, you can certainly do so. There is a certain level of cover between you all, but you can basically get out of that to free and open movement, or you can kind of go deeper and attempt to hide. What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking I'm rushing up to the closest one, brandishing my karambits and taking a swing.
Gotcha. So make your attack. Do you want to go on the one who just like flung his javelin, or the one who yelled for help?
I'm going for the one who yelled for help. So that is the one that I would
Excellent.
run first.
Go for that attack. He's just going to plink away the first with his shield, and second attack is same thing. He'll kind of like bring his shield down to guard himself, and both of those attacks will miss.
Yeah, that's gonna be the end for my turn.
So you are going to hear kind of the clinking of bones as a. Oh, wait a second, my bad. What would you like to do with Serge?
Oh, we get Serge. Well, he's gonna. I mean, he's gonna fire arrows at the same person, basically.
It's a 13 and a 24. The 24 is going to hit. 5 damage. Yeah, so he's going to take a solid arrow strike, kind of almost as he brings the shield between himself and Terran, the second of these arrows is going to find that weakness, and kind of just underneath the arrow, it seems like it's kind of a gut hit. It's a pretty bad hit. He's not like crumpled to the ground or anything. But that will move us into, again, kind of like the shaky, clunky figure of a skeleton is going to go into view as it aims. That one's going to be aimed towards Island as it takes a shot that will kind of plink off of some of the undergrowth in between. And I think we'll go to another skeleton kind of making its way into view, aiming out at, I think that's going to be Zeros. And that one should be a solid hit. I believe it's going to be a 19 to hit him. And then it's going to do... Oh, wait. His saving throw is DC 5. So DC 5 con save for Zeros.
Whew, just barely.
Makes breaks. So he's good. It's just kind of like a flesh wound, just to like a shoulder, just underneath the actual like skin of it, into a little bit of meat. And 6 will take us to another skeleton moving in, aiming for Island is killing, and is going to take a shot for killing. That one should hit with a 20. I think Killen's AC is high, but it's not that high. I think it's 18. And that should do... Oh, it doesn't do damage. DC 5, I feel like for Killen, that is not a 1.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Con saving throw from Killen. It's basically
Yeah,
just roll a
not a 1.
d20. Because he has proficiency. You just need not the auto failure.
Yeah.
So he is good to go as that arrow drops into him, and we will take it to Island. You'll have Killen next, and then Jarek, you're on deck with Zeros.
So there's two skeletons that we can see that are
Right
in
now,
melee range.
you've got... No. Right now, you've got 2 guards that are in melee range of Terran. As far as I know, what is it? Serge is still with the rest of the party. The guards are then blocked or backed by like 3 skeletons, but you basically have like a movement in between each of these groups. So if you want to get to the guards and Terran, you can run forward and that's your movement. If you want to get to the skeletons that are at the back of that, you have to basically move and then dash.
I'm gonna fire off a guiding bolt at one of the guards with Terran.
Gotcha. So right now there's a guard who's hucked his spear and the guard who yelled for help. Which one are you going for?
One who yelled for help.
Gotcha. Make that roll. So solid hit from that as the bolt smashes into him. He is going to be kind of burned from within as this holy light is going to consume him.
Like dead or like just hurt?
Oh yeah, he did.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to roll twice. Sorry. Okay, and then I'm gonna stay in the back of the party. I want to put a distance between myself and everybody else. So I'm in the back, but that's my movement and that's my attack. Killen's gonna rush to Terran's side and make an attack on the other guard. I'm gonna roll a die 20 on that.
Yeah, I think you've got his character sheet that should be set up where you could actually roll like with his attack. Otherwise, yeah, you can just do basic d20s.
Tell me where
You
his
have to
character sheet
decide
is.
what you're gonna do.
Is his character sheet in roll 20?
Yep, if you just click on the actual name, you should be able to bring
Yeah.
up.
Did that roll through?
Yeah,
Weird.
it's
So
Read the
first
numbers.
one's going to miss, and you can make a second attack.
Did you guys get the numbers like black on black so you can't read them?
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know how to fix that. If anybody knows, tell
Roll.
me. I'll do it.
I feel like it's Roll20's night mode. At least I have it in night mode. Yeah. Roll20's night mode does not really work very well.
Okay.
Second one's a 13. That as well is going to miss.
Good for you that you can read that. Sorry.
Yeah, as Serge or as Killen just kind of charges forward, both of his attacks are going to be big slashes with his greatsword. A little bit of issue with the vines grabbing them up, but it's enough that the soldier behind is going to be able to rest underneath his shield, dealing with the blows, and it will go to Jarek.
Yeah, so Jarek is right behind Killen as he sees Taryn churning, charging, and kind of calling forth the broadsy with his blade, and also kind of drawing his short sword as he's running back. I think he would have already had his main blade out. As we're going through the underbrush. Assuming there's room enough for him to get up into melee with the three of them, he will stab out at the remaining guard, or the one that's being attacked. And then similarly stabbing out with his short sword bonus.
Gotcha. So each of the main weapons blows are going to be deflected away as he shields himself. And as you kind of use this against him with your offhand, bringing your short sword in and underneath the shield, getting into his gut. I think that is a killing blow. Yeah, he is going to fall to the ground, gutted.
All right, and I think like as Jarek was kind of running up, he's like seeing the arrows flying past from the skeletons. He kind of like Zeros, kind of yelling towards him, and kind of pointing with his blade as he's running at the guard. And Zeros, kind of understanding, is going to launch a couple Eldritch blasts at. It's probably the skeleton that fired at him, if he can spot him.
Gotcha, most certainly. I don't remember which one that is, but we can definitely pick a skeleton.
Yeah, I think it was the second one that acted, but yeah.
All right, I can definitely work with that. Second one definitely is easier. First one definitely hits. I think the second one's a 19, so I think both of those are going to hit. I think it's for 10. No, that's a 9 and a 5.
Sorry, yeah, total of 14 damage.
Yeah, so I think in just quick successions as he follows like that arrow's path back, you can watch as he brings down his Eldritch blasts right into that same figure, and first one right into its chest you see is like there's like a cracking, and the skeleton almost loses its like retention, and the magic is going to break as the second one smashes into it, and that creature falls to the ground.
But I think Zeros is going to actually move back, kind of continue moving south as he's backing up away from these things by about say 15 feet. If he can, like, get through the underbrush.
Yeah, I feel like most of this basically is roughly in like these 15-foot increments because you guys are in difficult terrain here. So I think right now then we have effectively Island and Zeros about 15 feet away from where Serge is. And then I think we have Jarek, Taryn, and Killen about 15 feet away from that. And then about 15 feet away from them, you've got about 2 skeletons. I think that's kind of an update of what everybody's kind of experiencing in roughly this kind of like 60 feet of this battle at night. As far as things are going to develop here, you are going to have another human kind of running in to recognize the present moment. And I think D10. So Terran is 1, 2. 3 would be going for Zeros, or for Serge. So he's going to kind of like rush up to where he sees the others, hucking his javelin up and overhead, is going to attack towards Serge. 14 hit Serge. I don't think he's heavily armored, but I can't think what his AC is.
He has 15.
All right, excellent. So just kind of like plinks off of a little bit of like the undergrowth, and he's able to get out of the way enough that it just kind of like touches into his armor and scatters to the ground. You're going to hear the crunking of bones as another skeleton approaches this area, and it's going to, let's see, a target of choice. I think it's going to look between Island and Zeros. It is going to take a shot at Zeros. 17 to hit Zeros should be successful, I think.
Yeah, he's only
And
got AC 13. He's got light armor, so
yeah, don't have to roll to deal damage. It is a DC of 5 to see. So he will lose a hit point on that one. I think that takes him to 5. And that is where we are going to have the mage is going to move in, and I think centering a fireball on, actually see who he's targeting. So 4 from him, I think, is killing. So yeah, I think he can go for a fireball between Serge in the front line. Should be able to get Killen, Taryn, and Jarek. Serge. Right? Do I get all of you if I target Serge? I feel like Serge targets all of you to drop a bomb between him. So let me get for the 3 at the front. Let me first have you roll a d6. On a 5 or a 6, you are outside of the blast. And for Island and Zeros, same thing. Roll a d6. On a 5 or a 6, you are outside of the blast. So Killen and Taryn are outside of the blast. And then for Island, another d6. All right, so Killen and Taryn are outside of the actual blast of this. So I need from Serge and Zeros. Constitution saving throw is average damage against the fireball. Damn, I feel like there was something about this that made it a single save, so that wasn't an auto downed. This was the exact reason why I was saying these guys need to be replaced. Was it 8d6? So it's 4 times 3 and 4 times 4. 16. That makes them unsavable. And then for 6. Yeah, I think that's going to drop Serge and Zeros. And then
Would they?
Oh, that's what it was. Dexterity save first to have it. That makes it potential to save. So that's where we were. I need dexterity save then from Eileen, Jarek, Serge, and Zeros.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask about the the
Yeah.
dexterity save.
I knew there was something to it that it was like potentially survivable. So 15 is good for Eileen. Taryn is that's Serge's save. Serge's saves. Save. Okay, so Zeros is going to drop. That's a failed save state. So he'll drop unconscious. Then we will have. I should roll the damage now. Who was the other one that was against the character? That's Terran's. So let's do the first 4. Oh, I guess realistically it's still, what is that, 8, 14. So Terran, I need a DC 14 save from Serge. So he's good. Yeah, see, that seems crazy to take absolutely no damage still. But hey, and then for the others of you, I think both of the characters saved, where Eileen and Jarek are going to each take 12 fire damage.
Okay.
And then that is going to bring us back around to the top right now, where it is on Terran to react. You effectively have your group is the group of 3 of you at the front and behind. There is a guard along with the line of 2 remaining skeletons in view. I think realistically you've got a guard and 3 skeletons in view, and then beyond them by like another move is going to be where the mage currently is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the guard. I think. Yeah. Go for the guard. See if I can swing at him.
So first swing into the guard's going to be a solid hit for 7. Second swing into the guard, another solid hit for, oh wait a second, for 8. And then the second one's going to do 5 more. I believe that's going to drop the guard as you basically 1-2 right into him, and he's going to fall bleeding out on the ground.
Then Surge is gonna try to hit the mage. Oh.
What is that, a 23 and a 17?
Yeah, that it is. 23 and 17.
So as those missiles start to fly towards him, you're going to see as he kind of brings his arm up above his head, he's going to create like a dark red shimmer of light around his body. And Serge is going to watch as the first arrow pierces through his flesh. The second one is going to plink into this red and seem to be just like dissipated into the air as that arrow is lost. But the first one will get through. And I think that's for a 7.
Yep, 7.
From Terran, we've got one of the skeletons taking a shot. It is going to go for Island along the back of the group. 20 should hit. And
Yep.
it's going to deal, I think it's either 4 or 5. 5 piercing damage to you, Island. And that's going to the next of these skeletons. Going to target for that is Zeros on the ground. 15 hit Zeros.
Yep.
So that is going to do 1 failed death save to Zeros. And then we will take that to Island. So, Island, you are right next to Zeros. You saw as one arrow was shot towards you. The other one sunk into Zeros, unconscious on the ground. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna use my bonus action to get Zeros back up.
Gotcha. So that is effectively like a single hit die. You don't actually have to roll it unless you cast it up at higher levels where it adds an extra hit die. He
Yeah, no.
basically just gets the number of hit dice healed. So effectively, he is at 1
8.
hit point. What would you like to do with your main action? You've got 3 skeletons and the mage within view. I think the mage is 30, 60 feet or so away from you.
I'm gonna cast on the mage.
Gotcha. What are you bringing down on him?
Sacred Flame. DC 15.
Gotcha. So as the light from above burns down into him, he's going to take 12 radiant. That should be good from you. Do you intend to move? Otherwise, we'll take it to Killen.
I'm gonna get 15 feet away from Zeros for the next fireball. I'm gonna get away.
Gotcha. So you're moving back another 15?
Yeah.
Gotcha. What is Killen up to? He's 15 feet away from the skeletons. A movement.
He's gonna charge the Wizard of Thay.
Gotcha. So you can use his bonus in his action. Well, no, he can't attack.
No?
If you're going for the mage, that's a run. He's got to use his action to get there.
That's too
You
bad.
guys are in difficult terrain here.
Okay.
So you can get to a skeleton, or you can get to the wizard. What are you thinking? The
Well,
skeleton you can attack.
Yeah, he's headed for the wizard.
Gotcha. So you can close that ground and get Killen on top of him.
He wants to get in his face. Make it the most imperative thing.
And that will take us to Jarek.
All right, so I think Jarek's in the same boat, right? He can't reach the wizard unless he
Theoretically, I think you need another level to get access to the bonus action to dash, but that's effectively where you guys are at. Like, only a rogue in these situations has that ability.
Yep, he wouldn't get it until he takes a second. He's only a first level rogue, so No cunning action yet. Yeah, so in that case, he will try to take down the nearest skeleton to him. Probably the one that just fired an arrow into his into Zeros.
Gotcha. First one there is going to miss. Second's a solid hit.
Oh no, there's no one around me. Never mind. And then bonus with a short sword. The 12.
That one is just going to kind of deflect off of its bone. Doesn't seem to gain any purchase as you stab into it.
Yeah, and I think Jarek is he, unless there's like any sort of maneuver he can do to try to get any like cover from where the mage is, he's gonna pretty much stand his ground in fighting with these skeletons. But Zeros is going to stand up. And I don't think he can really move any more.
Not necessarily effectively. I mean, you could do a little bit of movement, but in the long run, kind of like with the generics of like this, you can basically make it like 5 feet in either direction, closer to Surge or closer to Island. Or, yeah, I mean, more or less that's what you've got.
Yeah, I think he's almost going to kind of like stand up, like kind of holding his side and almost kind of like shuffle to the side a couple of feet and then he's going to try and blast at the mage.
Gotcha. Give those a go.
That's 19 is the first one to hit, and 16 is the second one to hit.
So Serge or Zeros is going to watch as each of those blasts are going to sink into this red shield of force around his body, and the mage is going to seem to be unaffected.
All right, that's it for him.
So running up from behind, there is going to be another guard who is going to close in on the.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I also meant to say that Jarek is looking definitely bloodied at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's going to close in up next to Killin and the mage, but he is going to huck his javelin out at Jarek before he gets there. So the javelin to Jarek is going to be a big ol' miss as he basically joins the melee with Killin. And that's gonna go to, let's see, one of the other skeletons near where Jarek is. Let's see. I think 10 puts it at the skeleton is dropping another arrow towards Zeros. Big ol' 11 misses him, I think, yeah. Big ol' miss to Zeros. It's going to go back to the mage and with Killin on top of him. I think you are going to. think he is going to. I don't think he can risk it. I think he is going to raise his hand above his head as kind of the red shield dissipates. He's going to start to weave this string between each of his hands, one below his waist, one above his head. These red strings are going to start to flow between his fingertips. And as he kind of like reaches even further, kind of opening up his chest, as he's reaching out wide, you're going to see as these strings start to fall past his hand and rising above, and he's going to step through and disappear, and the strings are just going to drop to the ground and dissipate, and he's going to seemingly be gone. And that's going to take us back to another skeleton running in from the distance is going to close in right about where Killen and that guard are, and it's going to target. Yeah, I think this one is going to target Killen, and it is going to. I don't think it really matters as it gets close. Yeah, it's going to take a shot at it with its bow before getting closer. Should hit with a 21, and DC 5. It's basically just a not a 1 Constitution save from Killen.
Not a 1.
Excellent. So another arrow just kind of sinks into Killen. You can see he's very much just kind of ignoring these wounds as the wizard's disappearing before him. And that's going to take us to Terran.
Let's see.
Killen's pissed about that disappearing arrow.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna target basically like any skeleton near me. That's the only thing I can't target right now. So yeah, just dig into that skeleton.
Oh shit, I forgot you all have Yuan Ti with you.
I was actually getting ready to ask, like, what are they? Whether, I mean, it would be just like them to abandon us to our fate, though, unless they, I guess.
No, it really just comes down to it's too many NPCs and I forgot about them. Because I meant for them to be helpful.
I can assume they're like fighting off even more, kind of in the background.
Yeah, they could be leading others on a wild goose chase, I'd say. Like keeping others off our tracks.
I figured they were just fucking us over.
Did you close in Terran, like with Jarek, basically?
Yeah, so I could hit one of the skeletons. Or am I?
Gotcha. So you can definitely move in with that, and bing bang, take out a skeleton with those 2 attacks.
And then surge for the longbow on the other one.
Gotcha. I think that's a 16 and a 10. I think the 10's the miss. 19 and
19.
yeah, 10. So he'll do 12 to the other one. Just roll a die for me. Odd, it's uninjured. Even, it's injured. So you can take out the other skeleton that is kind of closest to Jarek with that one. And anything else from Serge?
No. don't think he can do much else now. Well, he can move, but yeah, no, it's staying put.
So we'll get you to Island.
Can you recount the enemies? Because we have what? One skeleton left.
Yeah, right now you have a skeleton between Taryn and Jarek, and there is a guard who is next to Killen.
I'm gonna fire off a sacred flame at the skeleton that's next to Jared because he's looks rough. I'm gonna healing word with my bonus action. Jared.
Gotcha. And then Killen is over there with the guard on him. You make your attacks on him.
Okay. Anybody see those? I changed my computer to not be night mode, but I haven't figured out how to change the game.
Oh yeah. I don't think you can actually fix that because at least on my side, when I'm on night mode, I can't see them, and I can't play this. I can't play anything with white backgrounds.
All right, so 13 and a 10.
Yeah. I've got him with both of those are going to hit with a 19 and a 16 for I think it's 12 and 5 for 17. He will definitely take out that guard. So he is over there with another skeleton who is nearby. You could certainly close that distance with Killen if you wanted to at this point. Or he
Definitely.
can head. Gotcha. I ran out of space, so I had to like curve it over like a candy cane on my little sheet. But that will go to Jarek. You've got a skeleton near you. Killen is now about like 30 feet away on another skeleton, but that appears to be what you all have for enemies at present.
Yeah, so Jarek's gonna shout like we need to keep moving as he's turning and trying to take down this last skeleton between him and Taryn.
So first one's just going to kind of deflect off of its bones. Second one's a solid hit. Doing 9 on that one.
I was gonna make that a distracting strike as well.
Gotcha.
So 2 more.
Gotcha. And anything with your bonus action?
And then just same thing, stabbing out with a short sword, trying to take it down, and he's yelling for everyone to kind of move. I think that'll miss with an 11.
Yeah, another kind of stab into the bone just kind of gets deflected, but that skeleton is going to dissipate from the slashes coming across it, and that will clear you and Taryn from any enemies at present.
So I think with that, as the skeleton drops, he's going to try to start moving south again.
Gotcha. So for what it's worth, that's the end of you guys on this rotation. As far as things go, I rolled and the mage was going to bottle where you guys effectively got him near like that half health area. And he is fleeing. I think you all are going to hear another kind of like damning curse towards you as someone once again kind of flies overhead. And you're going to kind of end up with that same distaste in your mouth, as these red wizards are not going to just allow themselves to die, but they certainly are a hefty threat. And I think we're going to close it off here. You guys can kind of like flee and pick off these last of these creatures. There's going to be, I think you end up killing another 2 skeletons, like the one killing is on, and one more is going to arrive. You have another guard arrive as Jarek like asks for that fleeing before the mage arrives, and then a turn later, like when that last skeleton arrives, there's another guard. So you guys are going to kind of like outside of this battle, like in this kind of retreat and fight mode. You can basically pick off 2 more skeletons and 2 more guards, having encountered effectively, I think you've killed 6 skeletons, 5 guards, and you know that the mage himself kind of fled. As far as things go, all of these humans are effectively just like sellswords. They're not like related to the actual Flaming Fists, who are mercenaries out of Baldur's Gate, but they are effectively just like mercenaries. The skeletons obviously are just undead used by the Mage of Thay. But as you all kind of flee this area, I think we are going to pick up next week after a long rest inside of the actual temple with the Yuan Ti. Um, and I think essentially we'll kind of pick up with a moment, but effectively the Yuan Ti are going to ask you all to turn over those 2 cubes, just as like a forewarning where we're going to pick up with that conversation. And we'll kind of see how different rolls of the dice can go to see if you guys can persuade them not to, versus you all being inside of like way too many of them kind of asking you to do this.
Okay, so that makes it a moot point. But I was going to ask, I wasn't sure if that healing word was that for Jarek, but now that we're getting a long rest, it's a moot point. So
Yep.
Yeah, he did
Yep.
pass that to you, but
I thought so. I wasn't 100% sure, but yeah. Okay, yeah, sounds good to me.